What's up everyone, and welcome back to some more Reddit stories about entitled people, Karens, and all that kind of stuff. So as usual, be sure to subscribe for more Reddit content if you haven't already, and let's get into today's stories. The most insane fraudulent transaction. I'm a security guard at a high-end resort. We receive calls all the time regarding suspicious check-ins. I was informed of a check-in that was prepaid. The front desk employee noted to me that the two guests appeared very tattered, not our usual clientele. I asked the employee if the room had successfully been paid for. Yes, we received payment, they said. I informed the front desk employee that if they were registered to the room and the room is paid for, they were good to go. At the same time, I'm notified of an extremely beat-up SUV that parked in one of our parking lots, specifically told that the truck was full of clothing and all the windows were broken. I put two and two together that it must belong to the guests who had just checked in. I checked the reservation on file. They were here for 3 nights staying in the building neighboring that same parking lot. Everything checks out, so I sent an email out informing everyone of this check-in, and that the check-in itself appears to be legit, but the people who checked in are likely homeless. First day, nothing happens. I told the overnight security guard to keep an eye on the SUV, since it's full of stuff and unsecure. Second day, I'm told that they witnessed a suspicious interaction out in the parking lot. I reviewed the CCTV footage and I confirmed that there was a suspicious interaction in the parking lot. Nothing concrete to go off of though. It looked suspicious, but could have been anything. We start monitoring the vehicle and guests more thoroughly. Third day, the guests are scheduled to check out and we watch them leave. Later I get called by a housekeeper who reports that same SUV is in our other parking lot. I drive to that parking lot and see that they're changing a flat tire. I touch base with them and ask them if they need any help, since obviously they can't leave with a flat, but when I can expect them to leave since their reservation has expired. The man immediately gets defensive and aggressive and tells me that he still has a reservation with us, insists his reservation is still valid and he's allowed to be here. I verified the reservation is expired, but I also notice this person's name is listed on 3 other reservations. I'm informed that of those 3 reservations, one of the parties has refused to pay for the amenities they purchased. I also see that all 4 of these reservations were supposed to check out today. Red flag, obviously. I tell the front desk they need to look into this ASAP. I go back to the dude and tell him that yes, he had a reservation with us, but not anymore, and once he changes the flat tire, he needs to leave. It's obvious they're loitering for as long as they can. Every time I drive by, a different tire is lying on the ground. I drive back out to the parking lot in the evening and I see another car pull up next to their car and another suspicious interaction. I tell them that it looks like their tire is fixed. They need to leave immediately. The man starts getting more aggressive with telling me he's not going anywhere. He has a reservation with us. I ask him why they've been sitting in their car all day if they have a room with us. I was changing a flat tire, he said. I threatened to call the police. At the same time, he tells me he's going to call the owner of the reservations that were made. He's telling this person that he needs to come over right now, that a security guard is harassing them and that my ass is going to get kicked if I'm not careful. So I'm telling them again I'm calling the police if they don't leave the property. The girl who was with them had stepped away while we were arguing. She comes back and says, "I just made a reservation, so you can leave them alone now." I go to the front desk and I'm told it wasn't a reservation. She simply inquired about the nightly rates and said she'd be back with money. I decide to wait for backup and to see if they'll go through with their reservation plans. When backup arrives, I go out again with my coworker. They're sleeping in their car. I wake them both up and the guy is livid, threatening to fight me. He calls the person who made the reservation again, telling the guy to come over now and that they need to teach me a lesson. I'm fully prepared for everything to go south very fast. I tell my colleague to call 911. We head to the front desk. The reservation owner shows up at the front desk to talk to me. I'm shocked it really is the owner of the reservations. He had ID to prove it. He's a relatively normal-looking guy, extremely calm and actually very nice. First, he tries to BS me. Well, if they have a reservation, they can sleep in the parking lot if they want, right? No, not at all. The owner of the reservation tells me he manages a construction site, and he hires people down on their luck. He often gives them a place to stay near the job site they work at. That's why he made 4 reservations with our property, so his workers have a place to stay. I tell him I no longer want these people on our property after being threatened by them. I consider them a threat to this property and that the police are on the way. He says he understands, and they all finally leave. The next day, after the front desk investigates this guy's reservations, we realize that every single reservation this guy made, thousands of dollars worth, the payments didn't properly go through. We can't get a hold of him. The front desk monumentally screwed up with this reservation. It was entirely fraudulent, and all we can really do is file a police report and report fraud. The employee who checked them in was a new employee, and we're of the opinion that it was an honest mistake. We also discovered the following day that the room these people stayed in was destroyed. Sheets and blankets stolen, decor stolen, signs of drug use. Apparently they brought their flat tire into the room as well, because there were tire marks on the floor and in the bathtub. For the next week, multiple transients try to park in our parking lots overnight. They all cite the same reservation and try to convince me they're allowed to stay in our parking lots. I'm kicking people out left and right. Pure insanity. My favorite story to tell people. When the overzealous professor got corrected on his university's policy. About 8 years ago, I was in my final semester of college and only had one more class left to take that was required for my major. The rest were just random electives to fulfill the minimum unit requirements to graduate. I'd noticed the name of the professor I was assigned to and instantly felt dread. I'd had him during my freshman year for another required course, and let's just say he wasn't a pleasant human being. Constantly on a power trip, would dock a percentage of your grade for every class missed or were late for, and had no problem yelling and talking down to you in front of the entire class. I ended up getting sick during the beginning of the semester, so I had to miss his first class. Since it met twice a week, I made sure to show up to the Thursday class. The professor gave me a look when I walked in, so I reintroduced myself and explained I'd missed the Tuesday class because I'd been sick, thinking that was the end of it. Nope. He called me over after the class got dismissed, and in a sinisterly delighted way, told me that since I missed his first class on the first week, that he was allowed to drop me and that I would have to take the class next semester. Sorry. The university policy was that if you missed 50% of class meetings during the first 2 weeks, the professor could drop you from the course, assuming they cared enough to take attendance. So if a class met 4 times in the first 2 weeks and you missed 2 of them, you could get involuntarily dropped. I went straight to our department's building and there was an admin sitting there right by the elevator. I told her what the situation was, basically repeating my understanding of the policy to her. She nodded and said that was correct. Right then the elevator door opened and my professor walked up. I said in a sinisterly delighted way, "Will you please explain the policy to my professor? I don't think he's very familiar with it." The look on the professor's face still makes me chuckle to this day, and I ended up passing his class with a B. Neighbor's kid trespassed and fell into my koi pond, causing thousands in damage. I, 22 male, have a koi pond in my backyard. It's not just any koi pond. It's a full-blown, professionally designed Japanese garden with a bridge, waterfalls, and koi that costs more than my car. I'm talking $1,000 for a single fish. Maintaining this pond is my pride and joy. I've put years into this hobby and my yard is securely fenced, with no trespassing signs everywhere. Enter my neighbor, Karen. Fake name but fitting. Karen has a son, let's call him Timmy, 8, who is notorious for wandering into other people's yards uninvited. I've talked to Karen multiple times about this, but she just brushes it off with, "Kids will be kids." Last week, while I was out running errands, I got a frantic call from Karen. Apparently, Timmy climbed over my fence to feed the fish, even though I have explicitly told him to stay out. In doing so, he slipped, fell into the pond, and destroyed part of my carefully maintained ecosystem. Several of my prized koi died due to stress, and the filtration system was damaged because of the debris Timmy kicked in. Luckily, Timmy wasn't seriously hurt, just a few scrapes, but Karen has been demanding I pay for his medical bills. She claims my pond is an attractive nuisance, and that I should have had a cover or something to prevent kids from falling in. I argued that 1, it's a private fenced property, and 2, her son had no business being there in the first place. When I refused to pay, Karen lost it and started badmouthing me to the whole neighborhood, calling me heartless and a terrible person. I've since filed a lawsuit against her for the cost of the koi, the damage to my filtration system, and repairs to my pond. Over $5,000 in total. Some of my friends think I'm taking it too far, saying he's just a kid, but others agree that Karen should have been watching him better. The fact that she actually thinks she can go after you to pay for his medical bills is just hilarious. It's a private fenced-in backyard with no trespassing signs on top of that. He even said that the kid just got a few scrapes, so what is he even paying for? Band-aids? It's obviously just empty threats from the mom, and there's no way she's actually going to do anything about it. But in your case, yeah, you should absolutely go ahead with pursuing legal action to get her to pay for the damages. Nephews broke every toilet in the house. My husband's brother, my brother-in-law, and his 2 kids, 13 male and 8 male, were staying with us for Christmas. They've had a rough year because his wife died in March. The kids are a handful because of it, but I've been trying to be gracious. Yesterday was my last straw. I got home from work yesterday and discovered the ground floor toilet is cracked and leaking water. It's a mess, and after shutting off the water, I ran upstairs to get extra towels and discovered the upstairs toilet is cracked and leaking too. At this point, I'm pissed. I go to the basement and yup, the basement toilet is even worse. I ran into the kids on my way up with extra towels and asked what the hell they did to the toilets. The oldest said, maybe it was the boiling water bandits. I said that makes no sense, and we get into an argument. Brother-in-law came along to ask what was wrong. He was taking a nap. The kids start saying the boiling water bandits did it. As we're arguing, it comes out the kids were trying to do a prank because of Home Alone. They dumped boiling water in all the toilets and tried to blame it on burglars who go around breaking toilets. At this point, I'm saying that's ridiculous, and they're old enough to know the difference between a stupid movie and real life. Brother-in-law gets upset at this because the kids have imprinted on Home Alone because it's about a mother and her kid being reunited at Christmas. At this point, both kids start crying about missing their mom. I told them they need to leave because I need to fix my house. Brother-in-law says, "You're throwing us out?" I explained there's no functioning toilets in the house, and if anything, they threw me out of my own home because I'm going to have to stay in a hotel. Husband is not speaking with me because the kids' feelings are upset. He's staying with brother-in-law and I'm at a hotel alone while trying to find a plumber who can fix all of this. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button as well for more Reddit stories. So I'm out of here. Take care and I'll see you next time.